Real estate values in San Diego are up 20% year over year. So is now the right time to sell, or should you wait until prices go higher? My buddy Jonathan Cohen-Kurzrock is in here today to discuss. What's up, buddy?
Good morning, Derrick. How's it going?
It's great to see you, bro.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. I feel like there's a bunch of little echelons to prove if you're a good realtor in San Diego. And the first one's like, find a buyer, right? Then find a seller and actually sell a house. And very high up on that list is actually getting on your show. So I think I'm glad I'm doing a few things right.
You've made it, man.
To finally make it here.
You're here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited, obviously. The question you asked, is right now a good time to sell?
Or should you wait for higher prices?
Or wait for higher prices? I mean, if you want to wait for higher prices, why not sell until 10 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
I think this market is always going to go up, right? The thing is, if you came to me anytime and said, hey, should I sell right now? Very quick answer, easy, yes. But I think this is a statistic you might not have looked at. I know you're a big numbers guy.
Yeah.
But I think a really fun way to look at it is, are you aware of how much money in closed transactions there's been this year?
I do not know.
16.3 billion. We have sold $16.3 billion in real estate in 2021 by July.
Here's what a crazy thought. Imagine if we had more inventory.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What that number would be.
It would be even higher. And the thing is, so okay, that's a big number, but let's even look at what it was last year. Can you take a guess of what that number was last year at this time?
At this time last year, my guess is probably 25% less.
Yeah, pretty close. It was around $10.5 billion.
Okay.
So when someone sits there and says, I'm going to give you $5.7 billion worth of value, it's a great time to sell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I think. That's why it's an easy yes. I mean, we can look at values. We're at 20% increase in value year over year, but there's literally been over $5 billion pushed into just the San Diego market alone. Get you a piece of that pie, man.
And the thing, and we said it earlier, but the thing that's crazy is, I think if we'd had enough inventory, that number you're talking about would have been insane. Could have been 25 billion.
Oh, it would have been.
Could have been something just bonkers.
Yeah.
Think about all the buyers who have just sort of, fatigued or, said, you know what, I'm going to sign a lease and just hopefully it's not as crazy next year. Like that kind of thing that's gone on. There's been a lot of that's taken place. We do have institutional money coming in, which is obviously a very bullish sign in my opinion.
Yep.
And we have a lot of people who have pulled the trigger, a lot of cash buyers, like organic cash buyers, meaning like individuals. And then of course you have a lot of institutional money, and there's, by the way, a lot of billionaires that are just buying a bunch of real estate in San Diego. That's going on too. So
we live in the greatest city in the world.
It is.
To live in. So I can't blame them.
I can't blame them either, and so if I'm a seller right now and I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, up 20% year over year, I just see nothing but higher prices, higher prices, higher prices. I think sometimes people do get stuck in that mentality, because if you just sit around and wait, and most people when they first start to think about selling, right, they don't list the house right away. They usually consider it for a few months or sometimes even a few years maybe. And while they've been considering that, they've just watched the price keep, ticking higher.
Yep.
And so you kind of just go, well, let's just keep waiting. We're getting paid to wait. And so that's kind of where I think this question comes from. Someone actually asked me this question on YouTube. And so I was like, good question, but how do you know when the right time is? Make it about you. Look, the market's great. So you don't have to worry about that. It's not like one of those situations where like, man, am I going to be able to get out of this, without having to pay money? Like, it's not one of those markets where you have to worry about it's going to be razor thin if we're going to get out of this thing.
Yep.
No, you're going to make money.
Exactly.
So you don't have to sit here and nitpick about that anymore. Now you can just do what's comfortable for you. Like, what's the timeline you want, right? Isn't this how sellers should be thinking?
I 100% agree. I 100% agree about what you're saying in that regard. You have so much opportunity now, and it's going to just keep going up. So it's really, at the end of the day, when you buy a home or sell a home, the real fact of the matter should be, it's like, it needs to fit what your needs are.
Yeah.
So let's say you want to move to a bigger home, your family's expanded. That's a big need. Like, you've outgrown a space. You want to leave California. That's a need. You have to make that happen. So at the end of the day, it's at the core of it, and this is true for buyers. Buyers are really worried right now. Am I overpaying for houses?
Yeah.
Truth of the matter, yes. Like, I believe we overpaid for houses in the last 6 months, and I told I told my buyers we're overpaying, but how much more are we going to be overpaying in the future?
Yeah.
That's the fear. And so that's a big question to ask. But at the end of the day, what I tell my buyers is, look, if you love the home and can see yourself in there for 5 or 10 years, even if something happens to the market, you're going to end up on top. Like, it's a great situation. Same for sellers. It has to fit. At the end of the day, it has to fit what you're looking for and what you need in your life at that time.
Yeah.
So we can all wait. I mean, if we all wait 30 years,
Price
the
will be higher.
market's going to be incredible. I talked to sellers in Claremont. You have 3-1 ranch style homes in Claremont where, they bought the home for like $20,000. They would have never imagined their wildest dreams that it could be up to $900,000 today.
Yeah.
They waited 30 years. That's amazing. But if they had waited 15 and sold at $500,000, that's still a lot of money. That's a great deal if they had to move out of Claremont at that time.
I lived in Del Mar for a long time. Loved it. The Del Martians are great, by the way. Shout out.
Del Martians, I love that.
But, they're a different group, you know what I mean? But they're cool. They're cool. They're just, a little isolated. And I talked to several people who bought their houses there for like $400,000 in like the 80s or whatever. And they were like, you have no idea. People told us we were stupid. They said that is ridiculous. Those houses will never be worth that much money. You guys are morons. People were actually like attacked for paying as much money as they paid back then because other people thought that they were making prices too high and no one could afford it and all that stuff. 400,000. Now these houses are worth millions. Now, millions.
I mean, anything on the beach is gonna always go up, in my opinion. There's only so many houses that can sit and look at the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
That's always gonna go up. So they made a good bet, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, like in the face of people telling them they were being stupid. So like, if you go back far enough, no matter what, real estate is always expensive. So no matter when you bought it, when you bought it, it was expensive. The question is, how long are you gonna own it and what's it gonna be worth at that time?
Yeah.
And whether you're passing it down to kids or whether you're eventually going to sell and retire somewhere else or whatever, that's the only time it really matters. So if you're at that point now, like where you're like, okay, hey, listen, I'm considering selling. Should I be thinking about waiting for the right perfect time? I think you've got such a big gain right here, and this is such a good spot. Make it about you. Make it about your timing. Make it about your family. Make it about that, and don't worry about getting a good price. Like you're going to get a good price.
You're already up 20%. Maybe you could get another 5%, 10% if you waited till next April. April through June, in my opinion, is like the best time to sell because just the people get out of school, the buyers get a little crazy about getting into a home. So yeah, maybe you could get a lot more money in April. But like I said, if it fits what you're looking for, you're already making 20% year over year. It's just, you can't lose, in my opinion.
You crushed it already.
You've already crushed it, yes.
You crushed it.
Yeah.
Like, congratulations. And bravo to everyone who was pulled the trigger. I remember in 2017, 2018, people were saying the market was frothy then. People were like, I don't know. So kudos to everyone who, just made a long-term bet and said, you know what, I'm going to get into this home, even though people are telling me that we're at the top. And look how much equity you have. Look how many options you have. Equity gives you options.
Yes.
Right? Equity provides options for you. Now you can go, should we redeploy some of that equity to other investments? Should we rent this property out and make a massive cash flow? Should we go ahead and sell after 2 years, take our cash tax-free, and then go play around do whatever we want? You have options.
100%. And I'll tell like a little story with that as well. My first sale was in 2018. So I'm a little newer. I'm happy about that. But so I haven't seen what could happen if the market goes sour, right? But I talked to a lot of the top people, you included, and we've never seen a market like this before. But going back to my 2018 buyer, we're selling their house right now, and in 3 years, the house has gone up over $200,000 in value. I'm not sure how many investments you can find that will do that for you.
And you're going to get it tax-free.
And exactly, it's going to be tax-free. You're not going to, since they lived in it for 3 years, it's not going to be hit with the capital gains, if I'm correct.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then in addition to that, money is cheap. They had refied, so the cost of the mortgage wasn't high. They had done all the right things. You can buy a home in San Diego for 3%, 3.5%, so you don't have to put a lot of money down. And they've just made if they had put 3% down, they've made $200,000.
Right.
With 3%, that's That's crazy.
Yeah.
You can't find better deals than that.
And it's one of the things that, you know, we preach. Obviously, long-term real estate investments, they work out. And sometimes you get lucky and the market moves quickly in your favor. When it does, don't be greedy. If you're in the market to sell, now's a good time. JCK, great to see you, bro.
Thank you.
Terrific
I
to
really
have you.
appreciate you having me here.
Hey, share this video with your friends. Let's help make them smarter than everyone else.
Let's do it.